All right, we're going to get started here. I think most of you know who I am, but I'm Marty Acketts. I'm the Adult Programming Coordinator for the library. And I'm just going to thank the Friends of Peter White Public Library because they pay for all the live streaming stuff that we do here. So we can't do lots of the things that the library does without their support. So I'm just going to highlight a few things that are upcoming this coming week. Tomorrow, if you love tubas, anybody out there? Anybody out there? If you love tubas, we have Tuba Christmas happening at the Marquette Regional History Center starting at 1:30. We are going to be live streaming it from the YouTube page here at Peter White. So if you don't want to sit in a room full of 40 tubas playing Christmas carols, watch it at home. But otherwise, come to the Regional History Center. It's always a wonderful, wonderful time. And then we also, on next Tuesday, starting at 6:30 p.m., we have Suzanne Sunshower, who is going to be doing a book launch reading for her new collection of poems, Still Wild, Poems from the Bear Shack. And this is the next book in the Uper Poetry series coming out of Ann Arbor from Modern History Press. And it's a really great book of poems. I've had the opportunity to read it, and Suzanne is a really wonderful reader, so I really encourage you to come to see her read from that book. And then on Wednesday, we have Northwards in Music, our Christmas Sounds show. This is an ongoing program with B.G. Bradley, myself, and some really wonderful actors and musicians, including Big Lake Acoustic and our special musical guest, Whiskey Ryan, and that's going to be Wednesday, December 10th at 6:30 p.m. And then on Thursday, we have our annual evening of Solstice Art and Evergreen, and that starts on Thursday at 6 p.m., and it's going to be all over the library. So there's Christmas trees, there's cookies. Good luck finding the cookies. No, they'll be down in the Huron Mountain Gallery. There's art, and there will be music as well. Carrie Yost and friends will be providing music that night. So lots of great things coming up, great movies coming up as well. So please, please, please stop by the library, have some cookies, and join us for some holiday time. But I'm going to throw things to Lynn here to introduce the wonderful, wonderful NMU MFA students here from the poetry workshop. I've been looking forward to this day since Lynn contacted me and we arranged this. So please give a really wonderful Peter White Public Library welcome to Dr. Lynn Domina.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am so happy to be here for this event. It is a really fun event, and it certainly beats a final exam, right? But I want to certainly thank Marty for being so helpful, and every time I ask, hey, Marty, could we? He says, yes, right? And I also want to thank everybody at Peter White. It's my favorite place in all of Marquette. I'm here 2 or 3 times a week, every week doing something. And I want to thank NMU. They've been it's been a really nice place to work, and I'm in year 11, so it's been really pleasurable, a nice climax to my career. And that is primarily because of our students. So I've had some good classes in the last few years, but this one, the poetry workshop this semester, has been really special. The students, as you'll hear, they're all great poets. They are very different stylistically from each other, and they're very supportive of each other's work, so that's always really gratifying. Okay, so I want to thank them. And I want to thank all of you who are showing up the weekend before final exams to listen to some poetry, to get your weekend started off right. And I'm sure that by the time you leave, you'll think, oh, that's the best thing I've done all weekend, right? The students are going to be introducing each other. So each student will come up, introduce the reader, and then the same thing. We have 5 readers. And so we'll be here for an hour and a half listening to some good poetry. So thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, I'd like to mirror Dr. Domina. Thank you so much for coming here on a Saturday afternoon. The first reader this afternoon you might know as a storyteller or a scholar of rhetoric, a Toni Morrison enthusiast, or an enjoyer of good and bad movies. But over the course of this semester, I have grown to know them as a writer and a deep appreciator of poetry, with thoughtful attentiveness to sound. There's an interplay of rhythm and rhyme that sets the foundation for this writer of moments. These moments are often between people or two people. He told me that a poem is a vessel to dive into a specific moment, and I find myself enraptured by the moments proposed in his poetry. The intimacy of a walk through the woods, or the wistful air of a breakup, or the perilousness of an escape. Please welcome our first reader, Jordan Vines.
Wow, thank you so much, Julie. That was really kind. As many of you know, I am not a poetry concentration for the degree here, but I was really interested in coming to the poetry workshop and developing that part of myself as a writer. And so a lot of the writing all the writing that I'm going to share here is going to be poems. I wanted to try and fit in some fiction, but it just time-wise wasn't going to happen. So I'm going to set myself a little timer to keep myself on track and get started here. So I visited a friend of mine downstate a few months ago around the beginning of bow season, and he was telling me about the geological history of the state and kind of the over time shifts of the land, and this poem came of that moment, that interaction. This is Michigan, October 1. You don't own Wellingtons, but you borrow mine. They say the weather's worse tomorrow, so we'll walk today. Wind bends the prairie when we wade in. Seeds, spores, brambles marry our overalls. Stalks grip our legs. Let's fall and become stretched milkweed. Or maybe trawl this field until the cold makes us retreat and rub bergamot in our hands for heat while your spaniel barks and we watch a buck kiss an arrow. Pretty silent and stuck on the property line. If you steep blood in the sand, the glacial deposit floods, life sprouts, teems. Let's bury our rings in the clay, wait eons for Earth's sculpture of today. This is Singed. At dusk, we snuck along the bog trail to the stargazing deck, hopped across half-sunken boards, tiptoed over the cracked planks. I heard croaks, chirps, creaks, squawks, but you heard a chorus of bullfrogs, crickets, loons. The air was crisp, chilled. Maybe we exhaled breaths as wisps of smoke cried into our sleeves. No, I didn't choke you, didn't fight you, didn't ask for the truth when I could just lie still there. I said it. I kicked rocks while we danced back up the dirt road, through the canopy of branches, moonlight's arms embracing us. A doe pranced the hill, but you were not startled when the twigs, leaves rustled, when the wind whistled back. Our hands grazed when a rotten carcass wafted in our nostrils. And I was afraid to touch a snapping turtle trying to cross the road when you grabbed it by the tail and it hung and it swung until it reached the other side. Freedom. I sat alone on the bathroom floor, head back, neck cooled by the shower sliding glass door, eyes locked on a picture taken then of us. Lighter flipped open and flicked, flame chomping away at the edges until the bits burned my fingertips. I'm not a big political explicitly guy, but in the wake of certain events happening recently this semester, I was thinking a lot about violence And I wanted to write a poem, maybe not about violence specifically or about the moment specifically, but just to explore different manifestations of violence, I suppose. And this kind of came out of that time. This is Would You Ever Ride the Bull? Would you ever ride the bull? Not the ass-backwards manufactured block of metal and plastic, jerker wrangling you up, down, ringing around the rosy, emptying pockets 180, 360, 720 degrees. Did you hang on, partner? No, the real bull, like the last potato chip or crisp, pulled, chewed, and crunched, shards of crumbs sliding around in you, crinkle the bag, throw it away. The bull, sharpening a pencil down to the metal nub which connected graphite to eraser. The longest a pencil will ever be again is before it's ever touched. The bull, a keyboard warrior creating monetized rage-baity content. It's all fun and games until someone says touch grass, then makes you. The bull, you clasp a watch or bracelet or necklace, feel the pinch, nerves signal your brain, a terrible mistake, fix it quick, your largest organ squished, but you wear it anyways. The bull, seeds of a fruit you delight in, sneaks past your teeth and scratches the roof of your mouth, caches between morsels, sweet juices diving down your esophagus, but you love the taste on your buds, don't you? The bull, a pistachio trapped in a shell you must break, and you bite hard but it refuses, and you suck on the salt and spit it out and forget all about it. The bull, like stars and bars or chains, and I do not care whether or not you would ride the bull, like one in the chamber or cracking open a cold one. This next poem came out of some academic scholarly adventures. I went to the Midwest Modern Language Association conference and was very interested in AI and thinking about how AI is affecting teaching and writing and all these things. And I wanted to kind of create this hybrid piece between academia and the poetry that I've been creating, and this poem came of that. It is called This is the poetic iteration of an essay I have thought about and am actively writing, which I may very well seek to publish at some point, but who knows whether or not anyone will care to read it and instead use an algorithm to sort it into the rejected submissions list. An essay titled, What Does It Mean to Create, or Be Human? And how do we, or I, locate the author on the unhumanities or dehumanities or non-humanities, generative processes, and large language models, so-called artificial intelligence or AI, or what exactly are we even doing here? Breathe. Deep breath. Remember birth? You were a hot mess in there. Remember the utterances, beeps, oohs, ahs. Your language was coos, wails, smacked lips. Remember the umbilical severance. If life begins with disconnect, can you ever reconnect? Remember the temper tantrums? Of course, some never left them behind. When pregnancy, childbirth, alters the body, is that a manifestation of love? When the mind defers to artificial intelligence and rejects critical thought, could that be fear? I'm not thinking here, but trying to feel what I cannot describe. You might help me. Not the feeling of a stubbed toe so much as a stuck one. Not the feeling of a phantom limb so much as a sleep one. Not the feeling of a busted lip so much as a bitten one. Not the feeling of a headache so much as a brain fart. Not the feeling of a closed eye so much as an eye mid-blink. Not the feeling of a pimple popping so much as a zit swelling. Not the feeling of a stretched body so much as a cracked spine. Not the feeling of a wet willy so much as a whisper. Not the feeling of a bone-struck funny bone so much as a tickled erogenous zone. Not the feeling of a lover's kiss goodbye so much as a kissed body at the wake. Please tell me when the algorithm answers yes. Let's take it from the top. The last poem that I'd like to share came of my experience this summer working at a summer camp. It's a long story, but I ended up kind of getting lost in the woods and trying to find cell signal to call back to camp and let them know the situation. I ended up going to this mountain. Well, I was on this mountain, and I ended up going to this hill, and I was trying to go down to the river to get cell signal, and on my way down, I slipped and fell. And so I wanted to write a poem about that moment of me slipping and falling down the hill, trying to get cell signal. It's called You and a Whisper, formally introduced on a hike. If you listen, you'll hear it coming down the pathway over protruding roots. Now brace for impact, not with outstretched limbs or shuttered eyelids, but with a fortified mind. Feel how cool soil is as your pores wed the granules. Sigh now that your downhill stroll ends with Earth's sweet kiss on your face. Lie in bliss a moment. Stay a while. Ponder standing atop the hill and sliding away. Birds cackled, but critters didn't laugh at you. Perhaps later, you'll remember meeting that shy sound after your body crunched leaves on the back of the wind, through the trees, over the ground, against your body. That are all my poems for today. Before I read my introduction, I want to show everyone, because I'm not going to read it like this, but I made some art because this next person that I'm going to introduce is, I'll show the fans at home. This next artist that I'm going to introduce is just that, an artist. They not only write, but they also do create art, visual art, and we were able to see some of that visual art in workshop as a contrapuntal painted sonnet. It was incredible. It was amazing. When I was given the honor of introducing Joseph Self, I stood for a moment in awe, in wonder, and curiosity, because I'm not very great at introductions. But Joseph and his incredible talent as a writer, as an artist, alleviates the pressure. Joseph hails from Spokane, Washington, but has come to enjoy Marquette because, quote, Lake Superior, obviously. Joseph's a swimmer, and he's been rumored to enjoy Swagist, Dunktember, Dunktober, Dunkvember, and currently Dunkcember. Joseph's favorite moment from our poetry workshop was when Sarah Daniels brought in donut holes in honor of Stan's lost testicle. Joseph pursues a passionate intellectual interest in mythology, and many of his characters and works integrate mythos consciously and subconsciously, explicitly and implicitly, references that perhaps even experts may not realize are references. And yet, one doesn't need expertise to appreciate the kindness, craftsmanship, and particular lens that Joseph recreates in his work. Just be yourself. It would be accurate to depict much of Joseph's work as tapestries in their own right, reaching out for the days of old. Humanity gathered around the campfire, sharing stories, building community. And for a writer who's interested in writing as a vehicle for more than just expression, but for experience itself, perhaps the writing doesn't have to answer all the questions we have about ourselves and the world around us. Perhaps we can just enjoy it for the moment. Perhaps we may just linger for a while on what it means to be human. Perhaps we may share the space and time we have together and recognize that of all the billions of people who have lived and died, and of all the places Earth offers us to inhabit, it's special for us all to be gathered here, now. Without further ado, Joseph Self.
Oh my God. That was so incredibly nice. Man, it's always hard reading because there's so many emotions, and that really doesn't help, process any of them. Okay, I am also going to do a timer. Okay, I have 6 poems. I am probably not going to try to explain them that much so that I can get through them. This is I Don't Want the Fire. I don't want the fire to die. The logs eat the fire. The logs are full. I don't want to leave. Every moment I've lived, I want to keep living. Full of cinders. I never want the cinders to eat me. They always do, by going out. And sometimes we put them out before the rain can. This is Call Me to Your Side. Call me to your side like the beast of Exmoor. It does not matter what I am, so long as I am large and black, feline and feral, with a long pink tongue rising from my shadow. Call me squeezing your phone in the crook of your shoulder. Call me afraid you might drop it in the bath. Call me like I'm your dark horse stamping in his stall. Whatever, however you call me so only I can hear. Call me dream baby, call me baby girl behind my ear. Call me Joe, even though I've told you I don't go by that. When I've told you Joe is the name of my uncle, but I think you want me to be my uncle. Standing tall like a giant, aligned and proud to call you mine, and carry you on my shoulders. But I am yours. I will only carry you on my back or in my mouth by your scruff. So call me dream, baby. Call me baby, girl. Call me in your dreams. Call me mewling. Call me ravenous, while the operator struggles to connect us through a cloud-soaked night. If they succeed, and your silhouette beckons from the green lawn, I'll cross the ovular moon, light on all fours to hold your hand with the shadow of my paw. This is underneath Northtown Mall's bridge from the parking structure to the central complex. Pigeon down like peach blossoms, swirls down in concrete wind. So many times we have learned to paint and failed to comprehend. Our newest exhibition lies beneath, flecked with guano, blended corners where the scrub brush ceded this land to the pigeons. Their king has long since bonded with the immaterial and artificial. He pecks at oil-soaked wrappers and the foundation of this human attempt at sky, covering, tarp or rafter, what highest wields is nothing new to him, and he favors waddling the land where the easy banquet will soon unfurl. He feasts on abandonment. He is not lost. He knows exactly who the angels are, and it has always been them, fast, unglorious, modeled after a painting God saw while making the world, of green leaves giving way to vivid pink fire that lifts as it dies, and black branches rain over the gray firmament. This is Diosa Bella. It has an epigraph. The epigraph is, when a thing is beautiful, it is, it breathes in. In the myth, she has just found him, crouched beside the pond. She spies him through the trees, for she is the trees. In this moment, she has not yet given up her divinity. She is the bush he rests his fishing spear within, and the soil where he folds his cloth. She is the air and the sun and the water as he wades deeper, and then she is a woman stepping out from leaf-dappled shadows. In the real world, their love has already died. hurricane eased his fingers from the mountain ridge and hurtled him north to frigid shores. She remains to heal the valley of herself with soft touches. She shapes the wind and sand into a chorus of tiny frogs. She goes back to being a goddess, Diosa Bella, untouchable. But in the myth, they are still in love. He breaks the crystal surface and turns as though he felt her appear. He waves to her and she comes to him. She tells him, I saw the way you love the land. I am the land. He says, you're, but she kisses him, kisses the words to nothing, and holds on until they're gasping. In the real world, he sees no frogs. They sing anyway. The last thing she said to him was, look for me when you come home. Every night when he sleeps, she's there on the wind asking him, when should I watch the mountain's mouth? Most nights, he wakes when the moon's still out. The afterimage of her holding a koki in flat hands presses against his collarbone. He cannot sleep, so he dreams of what he would say to her. I never stopped loving you from beyond. Some nights I wish I could, but there's no need for beauty, not in words. He tries to kiss her, but she pulls away, a murky cyclone between them. His words are not enough. They bring him to the water's edge and leave him there. In the myth, it was inevitable. Diosa Bella again guides water over air so as not to harm the surface. Beauty, if beauty ever existed, is a storm-shred canopy gone still. Flora de Maga bleed in her hair, and beneath them, in the leaves, the koki hide. They breathe in goddess breath. When the moon uncorks the ocean, their throats release like hands coming free. Koki, 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 koki. This is the shale ogre sits by himself. It also has an epigraph, and that's dark of the heart is vibration. The shale ogre sits in a pit of water, turning his gray body black. Agates in his skin glow where skylight settles, and the ammonites and prehistoric shark teeth battle their way to the surface. So many layers in the ogre's solid arms. Each wants to be seen, but the ogre has no eyes, only recessed orbs at the top of his crude head, blind to sun-split clouds. Heat falls dry on his shoulders, but he knows touch, has known it lapping when she pressed her hands against him to trace layered time and clips of fossil. She outlined him with her fingers, and his sedimentary plates softened into clay, revealing pyrite and lapis veins. A hunk of obsidian roiled up from his chest, and when she dripped water over it, her warmth in the water trembled throughout the pool. His core bled molten, inside out with light. Her magnetic hands withdrew, and everything was slow again. The orb sank within. His body of coiling mounds of mud moaned, "Where are you?" as he hardened and heaved together. His throat became war and rue. Again he gargles his question, but who would answer? The pit is empty. Who would, who would, who would? Save an ogre with quartz flecks flashing smooth, in granite fingers glinting, as he tries to climb out, nebulous depths, and plunges into dark, like a great bolt of black cloth, like night that splashes up around him. This is blue until not. What angle needs an angel to rake algae from my chest with a star-nailed hand? My glass heart, all rainy-eyed, has always been blue. The wet, cold window is blue. The wet, cold is wet and cold and blue. Inside the heart, a cavity. Inside the cavity, a heart. Blue, where blue spreads to blue, spreads to blue, spreads blue. In a blue chest is a window to glass. The heart crawls up and through. Blue burns a bulging throat, easy to choke on blue. Blue erupts from my chest. Radiant claws push from behind a shattered seaweed heart. And I had one more, but I think I'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody. I was very happy when I tricked everybody to have us introduce in a circle so that I would be able to introduce Sarah. I was going to start this out with the Stan's testicle story and the donutfuls, but I'll just read the real intro that I have, I guess. Okay. Sarah Daniels has a special relationship with critters. The way she dreams them into being is unlike other writers. When I read her work, I'm struck by the primordial qualities she brings to geese, earth moles, and beavers, at the same time as she's interested in the struggles the animal world succumbs to in dealing with the human. To her, a goose is not just a goose, but the last goose on earth. An earth mole is not any old earth mole, but one who's crawled from the deep recesses of darkness to reach the surface and ponder the terrible loudness of children's laughter. A beaver is not a beaver, but a boy growing up without a father. For each of these stories, it would be easy to lose the human to the animal or the animal to the human. Yet Sarah grants her characters the capacity to grieve, to be confused, to feel lost, to feel loved, and to be hurt by that love. She treats her critters with as much curiosity as she does her human subjects, which is the foundation of a great poet. Every time I read her work, I feel lucky because I know it will reach out to me with a genuine spirit, and I feel even luckier that we get to hear her read now.
Hello, can everyone hear me? I always wonder when I'm up at these things. I'm not a theater kid like Jordan, so. But thank you so much, Joseph. That was really beautiful, and I'm also trying to get my emotions under control. But yeah, like Joseph said, I'm really interested in critters, and so I thought what I'd do today is bring a few different poems from different critters that I'm writing about, and do a sort of like, you know how in reality TV, sometimes you come back and you're like, where are they now, 10 years later? So I'm going to do a poem that I workshop in this workshop, and then a poem from later in the collection about the same critter. So it's like, oh, where are they now? So this first one is called Earth Mole, a Portrait. He is 10-handed. Even now he digs through earth toward night. He has never tasted sky, imagines it malted and rich as pumpernickel. He has never seen blue. Say blue, and his brain conjures meanings that color would erase. Spoon, divot, lavic rain. No, he does not pay taxes. No, he does not cry. No flash photography. Cameras do not work in the center of the earth, where he lives, in his lair, with the magma and the empty. He dismantles flash, unravels image, rejects your shutter, which closes its eye to capture his likeness. Furless hands, naked grabbing digits, wire fur snaggled in meat skull, cataract eyes, and that mouth. You don't even want to imagine the uglies, the foodstuffs he gnaws and suckles. Shudder, shudder, and you think you've caught him empty-pawed and wanting. The film develops blank, starved. No, you don't get him. You don't get him at all. So that's the one I workshopped with this lovely group. And here's a little update. This one's called Lair, and it's about Earth Mole's lair in the middle of the Earth. And sometimes the drippings down, down, down from above, places named Philadelphia or County Jail. Missives from what Earth Mole intuits are other critters, moles, anti-moles, speaking their noises, like Dolly Parton, what can I get you? Could I please have an iced latte, please? Could I have a black coffee? Could I maybe take you out sometime? 7 noodles, only 7 noodles. Adult Swim, Florida, Flounder, I want to dance with somebody. Cyanide, Daddies, Jazz, Slick, Rain, Crypt. Earth Mole does not get lonely in his cave of words. They eke down and fizz. He cartwheels with all 10 of his hands. He sits and shoves his face into a corner. He snuffles the cracks and edges. He swivels slow in place to rhythms. Sob story, speed chase, BMW. Goodnight, moon. Goodnight, birdie. Goodnight, George Clooney. Goodnight, God, it's me, a goldfish. Goodnight, Enron. Goodnight, somebody, anybody. Goodnight. So that's Earth Mole. This next poem I'm going to read is the one about my dog's testicle, which, to clarify, was sort of a miraculous testicle because he's 14 and I took him to the vet because he was being weird, and the vet said, "Did you know he's got an undescended testicle in his abdomen?" And I said, "No, oh my God, can I keep it?" And they said no. So this one's called, I'm going to see if I can say this right, cryptorchidism. Cryptorchidism? Sure. Sarah's telling me yes, which is a term for hidden testicles in the abdomen. And it's for Stanley, my dog. I've Googled what you look like, and it's bad. Rotten egg, shrimp brain, prehistoric squid stuffed in a pickle jar, the kind of specimen science bros named Doug or Chad keep on their bedstand. I'll show me yours, I'll show you mine. It's just that I expected more from what might kill a friend. An ice pick, a 44, a cut in deep space-time, anything but his body, curled and dozing next to mine, curdling into a punchline. I don't really have an update poem on the testicle because they removed it. And again, did not let me keep it, so. All right. Well, this next one is about another little character I have kind of crafted over the course of the past about 6 or 7 months, and his name is Beaver. And he is a beaver, and you can tell my naming conventions haven't changed much since I was 5, because I tend to just name animals what they are. But Beaver is a special beaver. He has moved to a city. He's moved out of his home, and he became a clockmaker. And yeah, there's a lot of lore. And at some point in the story that I've written, he goes back home, and he's in his family home, and he's pulling books down from the shelves, and he pulls down a photo album of his childhood. And each kind of photo tells a story. And so this one's called Photo Album, and it's about Beaver. A blurred baby beaver, tail slapping pond in summer. His mother must be behind the lens. He looks so small in her focus, so capable in movement and water, of slipping away. First day of school, Beaver touting backpack as big as body. He'd refuse photos every following year. He'd learn how a gaze can land like a punch. Children will teach him the weight of each. Their house, from the length of the driveway. Beaver had always remembered it larger. There is nowhere in the album, not one, a photo of his father. How to capture absence, how to allot the correct space to the shape of silence. An underexposed photo erased. How slippery memory. How long, Beaver wonders, is the length of time for an image to develop, and how does one know it did? Garden, tomatoes twining earth, prairie grass blading skyward, bleeding hearts bleeding. A paw edges into the frame and Beaver is struck. It could be him. It could be his mother. Time has eaten the answer. Beaver's only friend's house. He remembers her parents loud and slamming or quiet and gone. But here they sit at a forgotten barbecue. Here they are, stilled by camera, immobilized, gentle. His mother's mother, frail, mottled, draped in food-stained day gown in the backdrop of a sterile nursing home, wimpy potted plant beside her. On this visit, Beaver recalls she remembered her daughter's name. Beaver and his only friend sit side by side in the yard, smeared with mud. Beaver remembers she loved dirt, admired worms. She spent hours among them, these bodies who could bend and multiply and grow despite it all. Beaver and only friend in basement dress up, tutus, choreography, cowboy hats. Beaver likes to remember her exactly like this. Not photographed, what happened after and what didn't. Grandfather Beaver, his hands holding the most folds of anyone Beaver has ever known. He possesses strong eyes and cigars. He carves wood like breathing. Beaver sits beside him and watches him whittle. His silence oak, absolute, sturdy. An imagined image is heaviest, is the wound unwound. Not photographed. His only friend knows a game. It involves slipping off her pants. It involves the dark bathroom. Only friend stands in front of the door, calls him in, asks Beaver to look, be looked at. Not photographed, looking past the shape of her into an open hallway, the corner of a living room clock. Beaver remembers thinking how close and impossible. He remembers that he didn't want to. Words can be made clinical and precise. Maybe memory can too. Not photographed, after homebound, Beaver tried to locate the language to tell his mother. He finds himself charged, electric, and numb. Something squirming red has found him, there in the basement and here in the car. Not photographed, the way his mother falls silent and turns to him, gaze skirting his edges, as if he scorches bright enough to hurt. Beaver wants his words back. Only a few small letters between shame and ashamed of. Not photographed, his mother in a voice he has not heard since, saying, "Your friend has been through enough." She turns off the car. They go inside together and put away groceries, sweating milk, wilting lettuce. His mother is a young woman, dark-furred, flowing skirt, laughing in front of a brick apartment building. Beaver realizes he can't place it, can't name it, has no idea the places she has lived. Not photographed, the weight of silence, a gull alighting on his chest, circling, picking at fur, smelling of metal. Sometimes he thinks it cruel, sometimes protective. Grandmother holding Beaver's mother, maybe 4 or 5, small and slippery, dressed stuffy. Mother and grandmother gaze straight ahead into camera. In what ways will they look at each other? In what ways will they not? Family dinner spread across table. Beaver glimpses in the background, unnoticed for years, a kitchen clock, blinking blue. Full moon, dripping night. Beaver's mother had pulled the car over to watch it rise, to capture it here. Time has turned the moon yellow, the memory faded. How different light becomes, how absent everything out of frame. And these are a couple follow-up poems. Beaver closes the album. Books can fang and are dangerous. They can prick wrist, nick throat, numb. He retreats underground. Crawl space, scratches, unlit tunnels he carved for himself in childhood. He falls asleep in a branch of soil. Above him, the house and its hummings. Below, 3,950 miles to the Earth's core, he once imagined a blind beast maneuvers with tens of hands. An ugly creature, the only of its kind. It eats rocks, both hot and cold, and will choose someday to surface, where the atmosphere will stun it dead, or else stain its many palms. What lives underneath, climbing up, oxidizing blue. And my last poem is a little bit lighter and is about my grandpa's ex-girlfriend, who is a con woman. And my update on her is I have no idea. I haven't seen her in years, and I hope she's doing well. She was an interesting woman. This poem is called "If Depressed, You Should Walk to Main Street Pizza and Realize You Don't Have the $3.50 for BOGO pepperoni slices, and this will teach you something about life. Like how you should have been kinder to Pat, your grandpa's lying con woman ex-girlfriend, who descended by blood from King Arthur, hand and foot modeled in Chicago, christened her Russian blue hair the Pope, stole a mess of peonies from your grandfather's casket. Once sailing solo, Asacia stranded her ship on the east bank of Lake Michigan, waves abandoning her from Milwaukee. She swung anchor, hot and heavy, overhead and dragged herself home, pole by pole. Who cares if it's real? When they ask for the $3.50, follow Pat's lead. Pay up or tell a good story. Well, thank you so much. And I have also the absolute joy and honor of introducing Sarah Bass. The first time I met Sarah, she was visiting, and she was a prospective MFA candidate here. She popped into the Passages North office and stumbled upon a bunch of us there for a Passages party, and had the task maybe of talking to all of us, including Stanley, who was there. Don't tell Dr. Wood illegally. I found out after he wasn't supposed to be on camp. It's fine. But I witnessed Sarah talk to everyone in the office, as well as a number of faculty members and Dr. Wood himself. And whether she was talking to the department head or my dog, she was beyond genuine and funny and open with her time and humor. And this thing kept seeming to happen every time she talked to anyone. She would talk for a few minutes, and then there'd be this spark of magic when she made a connection to something they both had in common in their past. She realized she worked on the same public TV episode with one of our cohort's partners. She had worked at the exact same nature reserve I visited as part of an Excellence at Ed project, and can name every animal in it still, including a raven named Poe. Her conversational style is really resonant with her writing style as well. In both, she's incredibly attentive, she's a superb listener, and she's capable of illuminating these surprising magical connections all around us. Her poetry captures her incredible breadth of interests and her depth of knowledge. She writes about tree felling, falconry, avian rehabilitation, mycology, farming, foraging, and somehow also God. Not to mention her versatility in poetic forms, which included the very brave ghazal and sonnet and more. But whether Sarah's writing about foot blisters or God, in a received form or free verse, she's always interested in the messy, beautiful, bizarre relationships that pop up all around us. She's invested in the tender, the beloved, the tiny, unbelievable connections that form a luminous web around us. In one of her poems, she writes, "I have a robin's foot in my baby teeth," and that image for me encapsulates Sarah and her brilliant work. Equally unflinching from the grotesque and the tender, the morbid and the beloved, the rotting and the new growth, and wise enough to know that these aren't separate. It is with so much delight that I welcome my friend and the brilliant writer, Sarah Bass.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you all for being here. It's really lovely to see all of you. My first poem that I'm going to read is titled Gross Girls. Mumu rides a cross-country bus in 78, feet like hams and rubber boots by the radiator. At the final stop, she peels off her wool socks and every wart comes with them, suction cups popping off a window, revealing the softest soles she's had in years. She tosses all that yarn and skin in San Francisco. Catherine hides her eye drops and anise mints in the littered city garden bed and comes back for them after the show. She candles the wax from her ear canals and it burns bitter, scorching her sweaters roving. Emily mangles her thumb when the window weights fail and spits toothpaste on my soapy hands in the rush to get ready for school. I care for the mushroom erupting from the tub tile and squirrel away a robin's foot and my baby teeth in my bedside table drawer. No spells, no talismans, just something foul and sweet to keep. Molly, I saw the dozen dead nestlings swaddled in your freezer, double-bagged and waiting to be posted to Arizona, and I knew that you belonged on the mantle next to me. You carry the carrion beetles cross-country and feed them summer sausage and bits of beef. Come, shine a flashlight in my mouth and stare at my cavities. Inspect my middle part for spots and scabs and sand. I'd taste test your half and half, your pad thai, your spit. We're a long streak of grease, a family of girls always starting from scratch. Okay, my next poem that I'm reading is a ghazal I wrote this semester called Felling Morning. A ghazal is a Persian form with a refrain and some rhyme and couplets, and it was the first time I'd ever tried one, so this is called Felling Morning. He started with an open notch, back cut in the half-dull light. Paused, puzzled, calculated lean, eyes holding the baffled light. He left weight-bearing branches last, spring poles snap-cut, kicking back. Sister scampered up the ladder, shadow-casting scaffold light. She tipped the tree away from stature, leaping toward the canopy. The trunk resolved to barber chair, popple crowd in dust-chaffed light. Splintered core came shooting forth, bullseyed in his hazel socket. Wrench saw blood and dewdrops disco, flashing holographic light. Upheaval on the dawning day, fresh flesh on the toothed blade. Scaling pines for pulp and ashes, witnesses to awful light. If only he'd forsaken widowmaker, quaking aspen. Basswood hinge decides fate. Dark wakes him on behalf of light. Okay, here's a God poem. It's called Sermon Notes. You turn to me in the pew and ask what I think in the fullness of time means. I say perhaps it's supposed to encapsulate forever. You say something about always becoming more human. We're cut short by the stranger on the beach. At first, I thought Peter was swimming away into the harbor's belly, but in truth, he was so eager that he couldn't wait for the boat to reach the Lord. I am waiting for our eventuality. I am waiting for that naked risk, that sodden courage, that sunburn gladness. I want to swallow the lake. You want to be swallowed. Years later, I look down over the same water and know we both sought out a narrow gate and an open door. Once I saw a young boy fall to the ground and he called for me with the right words but in the wrong order. I want to help you. We're all like that, speaking in ciphers until we reach our eventide. Do you love me more than these? Will you deny me? Is the fishing net untorn? We look at each other, begging for clear-eyed recognition before casting ourselves into the lapis sea, with mouths wide open and clothes tied around our waists. Okay, this is a short poem titled Bluebird Survey in late June, and it's about when my partner was studying bluebirds in Montana. I watch you scramble a house sparrow egg through the shell with a pin, gently, like picking a lock. I know that even doing what's necessary eats away at you. You can't just toss them aside. The parents need to be fooled into sitting and waiting, losing time on a nest where life will never come. Okay, this next poem is the sonnet I wrote for class. We all did sonnets and then sonnet-adjacent poems, so I will read both. But this one is titled Deer Slayer Breaks No Contact. I break the glass by telling you I hit another deer. The stated call aloud is made beneath the willows, feather-bowed and weeping blood and fur, no longer knit against their charge or mine. Does tripled quit from Thule fog, a dense and milky cloud like steam from rice. Neglected orchards shroud my voice, a wishful note turned counterfeit or clockwise till the story sounds sincere. I make up fawns, all orphans now, so sad in spotted silk, near mother's phantom corpse. Upon the vacant road, a puppeteer alone on stage, my lie is ironclad. At last, the gate between us rusts and warps. And then this is the sonnet adjacent poem. In that it is 14 lines long, but there's not many other similarities to a sonnet besides that. It's a block of text as well, which is key. This is called Spectral. In a microvision of anchors and ankles and coverlets, I watch the world become undeniable where cascade crosses the highway. How does one leave the ruin implied? Spot the lamb's quarters in the bulk tank, thaw the chuck slowly in the fridge, count the tines on the moose mount, bite off the Mirabelle bruise, forget when to smile and when to frown, shudder in the grime and gristle. Certainty is not my business. I wish on a half ochre tulip, an accidental vanity plate reading egg, and a PT Cruiser limousine. I wish on saltines spread with butter and berry jam, short-form video divination, and the straw uncuffed from yesterday's jeans. Swimming on red flag days, I always open my eyes before I open my mouth. You must stare down the next crest. Don't blindly trust you'll inhale air instead of sea. Remembering, I press my face into the earth and imagine my other self just under the moss, spitting into gravity, following the sound of voices. I should have set a timer for myself. I do have 2 more poems, but I'll just get through them. This one is titled Peregrine, and it is based off of a falcon rescue I performed earlier this fall. The falcon died, but this is before that happened. The falcon woke in a heated cage and knew his elbow wasn't right. Half road-killed near a house wreck of a red-bellied slider, he looked at the sky one last time. The falcon had dreamed a much smaller falcon in his chest, a flitting ricochet off his ribs. He wanted to live, and he wanted the little falcon to live. Far off, the falcon's mate sat on their scrape, waiting, playing back their courtship, their spirals and dives. She would stoop to hold their life together. She would fold and plummet. She'd stop that fisher, that owl, that fox, that truck looking anywhere but ahead. The falcon knew he would never fly again. He knew the bird in his chest was flashing toward a crystal window, and there was nothing to do but watch the strike. The falcon felt a pang between talons, and he lifted his wings off kilter. He was proud he never landed on a gloved hand. He never wore a hood or jesses, never chased a lure. As the barbiturate took hold, the falcon thought of sweet alyssum on the roadside. He thought of the lichen on the cliff's edge and the deer trail dendrites through the fen. The little falcon broke the glass and flew to the wandering sea. He could see it all from the high, thin air. And then this last poem is in memory of my friend Taja Armadi-Smith, who was missing for a few days before they found her. Your procession through Cleveland felt like driving on Rainbow Road, except instead of flying off the highway and into Cassiopeia, we would have shot right into Lake Erie, which is the worst one. I know, I'm sorry. You would have hated this escort. How terrible is it that the most fun I've ever had behind the wheel took place because the cops finally found you on those tracks in Maryland? Elle and I blew through every red light going 40 all the way. We were chasing your empty oak casket and praying we'd never catch up. Speed was the only thing I could offer the asphalt. Remember skating circles around me in February. The katydids shrilled like kettles, and your sister fell to the ground when the soldiers sent to fold the flag raised their rifles. Those strangers didn't know your name. We didn't tell anyone we were coming, just crashed the wake to eat collard greens in a police union building on a Thursday afternoon. When I was a kid, my pet fish jumped out of the bowl and was dead on the floor by the time my dad left for work. He remembered that he was supposed to do something with goldfish, so he put it through the garbage disposal. That's not you, a hot mess down the drain of the wrong appliance. But that's not you. I hope I made you laugh, the one that shakes the whole room so no one can doubt you're there. Call me when you get this. We can talk about all the things you're not, and all the things you definitely are, like gone. Thank you. Thank you. I have the honor of introducing my good friend, Tuli Terrell, like Meryl. And we first met in the Passages office when I visited Northern, and I could tell then that we would be friends. Tuli is a dedicated person and a dedicated poet. Every year, for 52 days in a row, she challenges herself to write a different poem every day for those 52 days straight. She digs into themes and textures, one of those being kindness, and we were able to hear several kindness poems throughout the workshop this year. Her poems are equal parts surreal and specific, technical and tender. The way that she uses specialized language, whether that's about mycology, fencing, hummingbird biology, and the way that she uses dreamlike imagery creates poems that draw you in and pierce you. Tuli's poems feel like something that you can hold, light and heavy, like an egg in your palm. This semester, she's inspired me to play more with less punctuation, more spacing, and she always put stickers on our poems and shared her dining hall snacks with me. Please join me in welcoming Tuli Chin Terrell.
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah. That's so sweet. Now I'm going to have an emotional reaction. Okay. As the last reader, thank you again so much to Dr. Domina, Marty, and the Peter White and everyone here for organizing this event and listening to all of our lovely, lovely readers before me. The first piece I'm going to read is actually not from the workshop. It's from the other class I'm taking this semester, my Green Romanticism literature class. And it'll have to be an abridged version because it's a much longer piece. Addressing dreaming, vision, the sublime, and touch of science. So here's excerpts from Visions, a braided poem. Last night I was climbing an endless willow, then floating above burning pines and houses with thatched roofs, always above and more often than not weightless. I struggle to walk in my dreams. Legs of molasses blood and inflated drag leave me buckling. It's a quiet terror, one that compels sprinting into the sea when I wake. Vastness is relative. What is immense to one is dependent on the size of their eyes, where they are standing, and what they are looking through. As a chemist, I find the interior of a cell vast. As a poet, the space between stanzas. The dreamer in me is stuck on a balcony. That space is all she will ever know. And to her, it is peerless and it is vast. What is an atom if not a miniature galaxy? What is an ocean if not an oversized petri dish? Optics say the natural human eye is just a double convex lens pulsing. To magnify the microscopic or the very distant, to sharpen on a sensor or a film, to correct farsightedness by increasing the eye's refractive power. To see is nothing more than to dream of darkness converging in the brain. It comes upon us in the gloomy forest and in the howling wilderness, something blue, thick like fog, creeping to the twitch of our sweating nerves and haunted nights. It is blue, the sublime, blue of any shade. I don't have synesthesia, but wading in lightless depths, what does it matter? On the other side, there are wolves swallowing walnuts, their tongues painted black after harvesting. The whole capacity of the eye vibrating in all its parts must approach near to the nature of what causes pain, REM sleep. What of the electrons spinning around the nucleus, the probability cloud that contains the idea of it, the terror of never knowing where it is or where it is going. The idea, that is what we call sublime. Blink before it is gone, the afterglow of waking from a wonderful dream. Okay, the next one is from the workshop, so we're going to stay in surrealism land a little bit, and it's the first one I submitted to workshop, and it is Just a Floating Rock in Space, the Moon. Charging homeward bound, crushed by gravity to be a sphere, vapor-sharpened ice. To know how it floats inside a mouth or drips off liquid lips. My eyes sweep up a flock of birds into circling orbit, traveling at real light speed. It still eludes me, like stars, shooting ice into an echo. Pearls spilling vapor tears, plucking feathers from their tiny spheres, rotating. The moon polishes its clutch of salty jewels without smiling once. Or perhaps it's me, overthinking the power of the moon until those tiny spheres leak out like marbles of my tilted glass head, praying. Heaven can be found inside the cavity of a nesting great white heron, eggs a gentle green, smooth, no craters, as real as the moon I contemplate. The remedy is floating further and further away. I'm chasing moonlight at midday. Okay, I'm very glad Sarah brought up sonnets because no one did until that. And I was like, yes, we were assigned to write sonnets, sonnet adjacents, and read 3 books of sonnets, which was actually really great. I struggled very difficult, like a lot. Maybe I think we all did. I'm gonna read, but it made me start thinking about poetic form. So the next poems I'm gonna read are all specific forms. So this one is my sonnet adjacent, also in that it is 14 lines and a block of text and nothing else. So, and it is one of my kindness poems. So there is no title. It's just a poem about kindness. So. Kindness, hastily manufactured by afterthoughts, the bag of chips you kick the vending machine for before falling out, wrinkled packages of words, half stale air, half shattered crisp, half mouthful of rocks. My whole life is collections of 3 halves, flapping wings, littered wrappers, in the wind my momentum scatters, like an unkindness of ravens, heralding the power that animates everything, bone, wing, and glass. My hands shake effort into wrinkles, wired shut skin, and dust unearthed now, stretched too wide and stuffed to smile. I turned those lives into stale ornaments, flimsy littered taxidermied heads, every kind of hollow bird. That kindness strengthens the sense of existence, reaching the dust collected, to give it form, half aware, half not, half shattered wings, unkindled, a manufactured dry art form, dying. Okay, this next one is a high bun, which is a prose block followed by the last 3 lines being a haiku. So it's like this big chunk and then this tiny little baby poem at the end. And it's called oviparous, which is a word to describe creatures that lay eggs or are hatched from eggs. Birds were flying over oceans before the uterus grew into the hollow of our ancestors' lower bellies. Some 310 million years ago, the split between lying lips and beaks bloody. Time chose for us bodies incapable of flight before swollen cavern could ever pass something separate, something soft. To lay a skull, 1 porcelain egg, bony plates come together, and in 2 years' time, fuse collagen into a cup that cracks. 1 lacquered pearl or frosted chalk. The bygone avian in our nature draws us to their curvature. That shape was born to be palmed and padded, held flush against our skin and warmed by our gentle grasp. There is a luster in the clutch and on the smooth of every surface laid, fleeting, that we forget where we ever came from, the miscarriage of evolutionary history. Before sinking into beds of soft eider down, we breathed the air of higher places. A shell gland regulated mineralization, and our bellies carried semi-precious stones in a body less than the weight of paper, our pride omniscient overhead. Some seen away, we are curling horizontal, dying in our egg. The last poem, which I will leave you with, is a contrapuntal. If you don't know it, there's like 2 columns, and you can read contrapuntals multiple ways. So I will read this poem in both forms, first vertically and then horizontally across the gap. And this is called Touchless, and it is for Maki. Unnecessary skin to keep you from burns, burning but not yet, losing to loss. Still, I love you. Not a girl, weeping. Your expired skin, layers of mine or not. Today, I feel cauterized, graft, dehydrating away of a girl no longer. Ashes, rather some curling rind beyond sapless. A sinkhole cavity, some say silence. Too permeable, melts into mine, into yours. 1 less barrier between our blemished forms touching. A necessary skin graft to keep you from dehydrating away, burns of a girl no longer burning, but not yet ashes, rather some curling rind, losing to loss. Still, I love beyond sapless, you a sinkhole cavity, some say, not a girl, silence, weeping. Too permeable, your expired skin melts into layers of mine, or mine into not yours. Today, I feel one less barrier cauterized between our blemished forms touching. Thank you very much.